Ciao there, and welcome to On the Beat, the podcast that uncovers full frontal male nudity in cinema. My name is Laura, and I am joined by my co-host Ryan.
Did you say chow?
Si.
Oh, God. It's not bad enough that you're saying French all the time. Now you've gone and...
Oui.
Yeah. All right, okay. We're now into the Italian pool, the swimming pool, as it were.
La Piscine. We're talking about the 2015 psychological drama, A Bigger Splash, directed by Luca Guadagnino, starring Tilda Swinton, Matthias Schoenaerts, Ralph Fiennes, and Dakota Johnson. Hooray.
Yeah, it's full of some very attractive-looking people.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
There's not a lot that I love more than
Thank God it wasn't full of fuglies. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, just be disgusting. They'd be like, they don't have a pool. They'd be sinking to the bottom of that pool.
Love a film with good-looking people relaxing by a pool, which is probably why I also love Call Me By Your Name so much, which does not have a penis. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, just sitting by a pool, reading books and enjoying the sunshine.
Yeah.
That's like your thing.
That's my dream.
It's also something that you haven't really done. There is pools in Florida, but I haven't really seen you read a book or relax by a pool that way.
Usually partying.
You're too busy partying, that's the issue.
Yeah.
Because you're an animal.
I'm
party
too busy
animal, as it were. Yeah.
out there living that Margaritaville lifestyle.
I am kind of like Tilda Swinton in this movie in that I quite like the silence and I quite like the peace and quiet.
And unfortunately, I'm Ralph Fiennes in this film.
You are, yeah,
Quite a
crazy.
bit.
Yeah, crazy Hattie. Yeah, he is a force of nature through the course of this movie. He is one of the standout roles, but also it's like he is the forebearer for the breakneck pace that this film goes at. And I guess as we get into this, I'm going to figure out if I like that or not.
I do. So here's the synopsis from Letterboxd. I changed it a little bit. It annoyed me. It had mistakes.
What do you mean it had mistakes?
It just had grammatical errors in it.
Well, you spend your vocational life effectively going through grammar and spelling and all sorts of stuff. Like I think this is oozing now into your avocational life.
I'm not an editor. I am an archaeological report writer, but
so you do.
I do that. I do go through people's grammar. I go, oh, that doesn't sound good.
Yes, you do.
Oh, we gotta fix that. I can point out mistakes on signs from far away. It really bothers me. Spelling errors.
God.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Paul and Marianne spend their vacation in Italy and experience trouble when Marianne invites a former lover and his teenage daughter to visit, which leads to jealousy and dangerous sexual scenarios.
Yeah, so there's issues I have with that synopsis in general.
I know, and I even changed it, but I didn't change the base of what it's saying, which I don't think is good because you don't know that Penelope, played by Dakota Johnson, is a teenager.
No, you don't by that point. It's one of the I guess like one of the crucial plot points to the movie is that when that happens.
There's not any dangerous sexual scenarios either. You have the young Dakota Johnson flirting with the boyfriend.
Yes. Is he a boyfriend?
The boyfriend of Tilda Swinton.
What's his name? What's the actor's name?
Matthias Schoenaerts.
Right, okay. She's playing it saucy with old Matthias. But yeah, I mean I would say that like there's danger on all fronts when they come in. Obviously a little bit more on the side of Harry. Like Harry's a kind of veracious character.
He's got a lust for life, a lust for women, and a lust for Tilda Swinton, which I can't deny him that.
Yeah.
I also do.
Just jump into the fire. That Harry Nilsson song, which you hear quite a fair amount in this movie. Although it's not used as iconically as it is in that helicopter scene in Goodfellas, which I think it's
oh, shit.
it's incredible. It's iconic in that. in that movie. But it's nice, yeah, it's nice to hear about Harry Nilsson jump into the fire. You know, that's a good song.
The standout song in this is definitely Emotional Rescue by the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, I guess if you're a fan of the Rolling Stones, you're in for a treat.
If you're not a fan of the Rolling Stones, you get to see Ralph Fiennes dance to it like a maniac, and it's amazing.
He's got quite a fair amount of Big Daddy energy going on.
It was hot.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah, the story's told kind of two separate ways. It has a bunch of flashbacks and stuff to try and, I guess, try and bring a little bit more depth to the relationship of these characters, certainly between Tilda Swinton and Ralph Fiennes' characters. But the thing is that from the off, Tilda Swinton's character, she's completely ruined her voice, so she's not able to really communicate for the majority of the movie.
She's a David Bowie-esque rock star, and he is a manager and producer, or maybe he's just a producer. And then she falls for his friend who's a documentarian, right?
Yes.
Documentary filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Dakota Johnson, who shows up as the long-lost daughter of Harry, the music producer, right?
That's the story that doesn't really get given a lot of either clout or a lot of kind of headroom. And certainly for a film that's like 2 hours long, I was expecting maybe a little bit more than what we gave us there. But you hit the nail on the head with everybody else. It's kind of like showbiz. It's like incestual showbiz kind of like relationships and stuff. Everyone's fucking each other. And it's like passing this person off to this other person because they're tired of them. And
yeah,
it's that kind of
Harry
level
wants
of vibe.
Marianne back, I guess. Or maybe he's just jealous
Maybe.
because someone else is sleeping with her and that annoys him because he seems to get anything he wants all the time.
Based on how his character is,
Showboat.
he's quite abrasive. He's incredibly forceful.
Magnetic, though. Very
Yeah.
magnetic. Everyone seems
Charismatic.
to show up every time he talks, like he just brings crowds in.
There are plenty of shots, and I do like what Luca does here, where it is just a close-up on this motherfucker's mouth, and the guy won't shut the fuck up. And he's incredibly brash, and he's very brave, and a lot of that will come into play as the film continues, as it develops.
This is our first Luca.
This
Isn't
is our first Guadagnino, yeah.
So we get to...
we get to speak about him
Yay!
at relative length.
Big fan. I'm a big fan of his.
Yes, I've not seen as much stuff of his as yours, but we'll have at least one movie that we both love from Luca Guadagnino. So yeah, Luca Guadagnino. He's an Italian film director and producer. His films would be characterized by emotional complexity, sensuality, and sumptuous visuals. I would say that his films do have quite a level of depth in their cinematography. Bigger Splash is it looks nice. I have issues with like the editing, and we'll get into that. But yeah, I don't like the editing that much. But in terms of like his feature film projects, we have Protagonist from 1999, we have Melissa P from 2005, I Am Love from 2009, A Bigger Splash in 2015, Call Me By Your Name in 2017, which is obviously the standout from as far as I'm concerned. Suspiria 2018, Bones and All from 2022, Challengers 2024, and Queer 2024. Challengers and Queer still to, I think at the time of this recording, still to be released, but Challengers comes out literally within weeks.
I think Challengers comes out the day that this comes out.
Right. So
maybe hold on to your butts on that one.
Potentially. Again, we record well before the time that these release. So
Not
that's
too
why
far.
Yes, not too far. But we try our best. I've got a list here of like frequent collaborators. There's not an awful lot on Luca, really. I think he's an incredibly solid filmmaker. I think he's made some standout films. Albeit obviously his filmography is not incredibly vast. But yeah, I could knock out some of these names, and then people might people might recognize him, they might not. Walter Fasano, who's an editor, Marco Morabito, who's a producer, Francesco Mezzi Diazir is a producer, Giello Presanti is a costume designer, Marco Costo is an editor. God, this is going to be hard. This is a cinematographer.
Oh dear.
Sayombu Mudiprom
Okay.
is a cinematographer. But yes, you'll notice a lot of those names shorn out quite frequently. But yeah, like I said, I think "Call Me by Your Name" is one of the standout pieces. But I don't so much think that that's like a Luca Guadagnino movie, which is fine. I always think "Call Me by Your Name" is more of a James Ivory picture.
Those two should do something together. I know that it didn't work out with "Call Me by Your Name," but the bones were there. The bones and all.
Oh dear. Oh God. Yeah.
That I didn't love as much. "Call Me by Your Name" I could watch anytime. I think it's in my top 4 on Letterboxd. Every time I log it, I go, oh Jesus, I've logged this like 10 times.
Yeah.
It's just kind of gross now how much I love that movie.
"Call Me by Your Name" is just a very good, but it's also "Call Me by Your Name" is a fantastic example of how cheated we were in terms of a movie that's not only a gay movie, but it's also a movie that's full of sex, but you do not see any wiener whatsoever.
If James had it. Which is weird. I'm going to say is if James had it, but then we have Luca who doesn't shy away from it either. So.
No, that's why we're here, technically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's get back to the pool, Laura, before the sandstorm hits.
Speaking of the pool, this film was inspired by Jacques Duray's 1969 film La Piscine, which I watched the whole thing the other day.
So I watched
It's been on my watch list for ages.
I watched some of it and I fell asleep.
We
It's usually
drank
what happens.
all day that day. It was a Sunday fun day, and then I came home. I go, let's watch La Piscine.
Yeah, it's like the worst. Yeah, the worst possible choice is.
But it's another. I mean, obviously, it's really good-looking people hanging out by a pool and having a nice time.
Yeah, well,
I really liked it.
You said something weird the other day where you were like, oh, Luca said that he'd never even heard of this movie, that he was not inspired by this movie like whatsoever. But then it's obvious it's a remake, and you're like, it's the same names and everything. So it's like you
have to dig through a lot of weird junk on the web when you're doing research, and some research is wrong, which is why I did not include that in our stuff here today, because all I'm talking today is facts.
Good. I'm glad. Did you find that on IMDb by any chance? Because that's certainly where a lot of the crimes take place.
Yes.
Is people just make up flagrant lies on IMDb.
Well, you go deep, because if there's a lot of trivia, you go really deep. I'll sometimes look at the trivia, but then I research that trivia.
That's true.
Because I am also a researcher.
You are, yeah.
By trade.
You're much better at it than I. I'm someone who, stuff goes in one ear, comes out the other, and then I look nice looking images. And as long as they're put together well and the story's interesting, I don't really care.
You like your moving pictures.
I do like my moving pictures. I'm like a moth to the flame, or then sometimes I'm like a magpie to the silver screen.
Holy shit.
I know, that just came out of fucking nowhere as well. Yeah, I'm so smart. Here we go. Square Bear time.
Square Bear. The film is named after the 1966 David Hockney painting by the same name, obviously, because it's named after it.
Yeah,
huge painting.
Yeah,
at the Tate in London.
I've seen that painting, but certainly not to obviously mix the film up with another movie called A Bigger Splash, which was directed by Jack Hazan in 1973, which is effectively on the creation of that painting.
Yeah.
But yes.
It's a series of 3 paintings from when David Hockney visited Los Angeles, and he goes, everyone has pools here. So he was doing these big, beautiful paintings of pools. And the other 2, I believe, are in a private collection, but that one is at the Tate, which I'm excited to go see whenever we go visit.
David Hockney plays himself in that movie. I would recommend.
I'll check it out.
I would recommend probably watching that, because I think I've seen it before. I just can't really remember it too much. I do like Yeah, I do like his pictures of either like the bigger splash and obviously there's one thing it's just called the swimmer, or it's like swimmer 1, swimmer 2, I think it is. I'm not too sure. Yes,
Yeah, it's really
I
pretty.
would. Yeah, if you're in London, I would suggest going to the Tate because it's worth going to see anything at the Tate. Actually,
Yeah, I'm not.
yes.
I'm more of a natural history museum type of person.
Okay, all
You know,
right.
or just
God forbid.
seeing all the stolen items at the British Museum.
Of course. Yes, the products of colonialism. Yes, aye.
Let me see
Exactly.
those Elgin marbles. So I haven't been to the Tate, so because I don't usually go to art museums.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So the film starts off at Marianne Lane's concert scene. So that scene was filmed at the San Siro Stadium in Milan. They shot it in front of 70,000 people, and it was during the show of Italian rock star Lorenzo Giovanotti. So Tilda Swinton has a mutual friend with Giovanotti, and so they had an agreement to have her come out before he actually got on stage
Okay.
for like 15 minutes so they could shoot that scene, and they asked the audience to just shout Marianne Lane before he came out so they could get that.
Okay. Yeah, I wondered how they did that because, yeah, that looked incredibly real.
It was.
That is insane.
Baby, that was not movie magic. That was just,
Magic.
well, I guess it was movie magic. It was planning,
It was production.
production magic.
Yes, it was produced. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because the film does jumps back and forth within the story, like I said before, to try and lend a little bit more depth to just the relationships between these characters and like specifically how they met and how I guess those relationships they started to kind of fall apart.
Well, specifically Marianne and Harry
Yes.
being her producer.
Yes.
And how they did drugs together and how they were very compatible sexually and how she broke up with him.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were talking about editing, and I don't know if this would be part of the editing, but I don't think they needed any of those. I don't think they needed any of those flashbacks, personally.
No, maybe not.
Because I get it. Like, they have a really good chemistry. So I could see them having a history, and I can use my imagination. I don't need those, personally.
No, you're right there.
I'm not mad about it. I really like this movie anyway.
She had,
If I had one criticism.
Well, she had an office space that had, it was full of photos and stuff like that, which makes me kind of think, like, is this their holiday home or is this like this is like their getaway place? Because, like, there was photos and their own belongings, like, everywhere.
It's interesting because Harry also mentioned that she was wearing all of her mother's clothes. So she was going through her mom stage.
Okay.
And there was a picture of her mother on the nightstand.
Right.
But this all might be a part of something deeper, actually, because Tilda Swinton's mother had passed away in real life before they shot the film. So she had been saying no to project after project for a long time. Because she was in mourning because her mother had passed away.
Of course.
So that was the actual seed from where my character's not going to speak.
Okay.
Because she just didn't feel like speaking and she was having, she was sad and having a hard time. And so that's where she came up with the idea, what if Marianne doesn't speak? What if she's a singer and she had surgery and she can find another way to communicate. And I think that kind of helped her through the mourning phase. But potentially that's where a lot of the mother stuff could have come from, wearing her mom's clothes and stuff like that in the film.
Yeah.
That's a guess. But her mom did actually pass away, so.
I mean, it just kind of shines a little bit of a light on that synopsis. The synopsis is kind of, it's different from some of the featurettes on the disc that we have. They're awful, by the way.
And this movie is not. It's not hard to find. You can rent this film. It's not streaming anywhere. I do think there might be a reason for that, which I'll talk about a little later. But it was hard to find on physical as well.
Really difficult. Yeah, even to the point where the physical copy we have is like the bog standard, like Blu-ray, DVD, double disc set.
Yeah, you find it in a Walmart bin, and you go, "Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't seen this."
It's one of those.
Like those old DVDs where they only have the trailers or stills from
Yeah,
the film.
a gallery.
There's more featurettes on YouTube.
Yeah,
So
there is. Yeah, the big issue I had was that some of the featurettes, they're like for advertising space. Basically, they're only like 30 seconds long.
it's like they got them when the film went to Venice, and they just filmed them, and then just popped them in the DVD. They didn't do any more work.
Pretty much, yeah.
But that's
just
okay.
like.
You-
Sorry, Johnny. Yeah, no, like little press junket things for their press packs and things like that, which are, they're kind of just, they're just kind of what they are, a little bit shallow. But some of the information you get from them is slightly different from that synopsis. So you're kind of, I was reading into what they were saying as well as I was like, oh wait, okay, so there is also this as well. So
yeah, it changed a lot from
did,
concept to delivery, But I think that also has a lot to do with how Luca and Tilda Swinton have worked together so many times, and they have a really great rapport. So they could kind of bounce ideas off of each other. And I think that happened a lot through the filming as well.
Okay.
Just best friends being best friends.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's all right. There's not a bad player in the piece. But I do feel like one of the major detriments, at least as far as I'm concerned, is some of the creative editing choices, which do make me feel like I guess like I thought it was trying to represent the discomfort and the strife that Harry brings into this relatively quite peaceful environment. So then everything starts cutting. It's like you don't really have too many shots that last any longer than say 6 or 7 seconds. And
example.
There's
which part are you talking about? Are you talking about when Harry and Penelope show up? Or is there like a part that you are thinking of that you don't like in particular?
I felt like after they show up, there are certain cuts to shots and sequences that just, for me personally, just cut a little bit too much. And I'm trying to figure out the reasons why things like that happened. There is one of the most notable ones, and I would say it's more of a stylistic choice than anything else, is when they go on that hike and we lose Dakota Johnson at one point. We lose Penelope, and he's like looking around. But I'm pretty sure I've seen this editing technique in other films before.
You're talking about when Paul and Penelope go on that hike.
Yes.
Okay, that's way later. Okay, I thought you were talking about it
earlier.
This
is just one of my notes. It's this kind of weird like jump cut sequence where he's like looking at separate things and it's cutting to the things that he's looking at, but we never at one point like see him turn his head. That's very much a stylistic choice. But there's a point where like Penelope lights a cigarette and it cuts so fast. The point to putting a cigarette in her mouth, cuts away, comes back, lights a cigarette, goes back, takes a first draw, comes back, and I'm like, okay. And it was happening a lot. And I do wonder what was the decision behind that kind of editing style. Because it's not apparent all the way through the film, but when it does happen, it feels incredibly jarring, but I feel like it's a deliberate choice. But I just don't know if for me, familiar with, say, like Call Me By Your Name, which I feel is a little bit more classical than this one. I was kind of slightly taken out of it a little bit because I didn't fully understand why it was cutting so much.
I didn't notice that.
I did.
Sorry.
Yes. It's something I notice in films a fair amount sometimes. If films cut around a little bit too much, it pulls me out of it. It's kind of like Michael Bay. He cuts way too much.
You should cut a lot of stuff out.
His films are always
you're
long,
looking for a smooth operator, right? That's what you're looking for.
That's what I'm looking
Smooth
for.
operation.
I want developing shots more so than tons and tons and tons of cuts.
There's a lot of interesting POV shots as well.
One of the best shots in the film, I think, is when they meet them at the airport and we're looking through Paul's POV, but he's wearing sunglasses, so everything's slightly blue.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was clever because there's a few POV shots. They're definitely, there's definitely little stylistic flourishes in the film, which I quite appreciate. The POVs are they're quite emotive and they're incredibly restrictive because a lot of them are in close-ups and things, and they feel very, what would I say, very intimate. It's kind of it reminded me a little bit of Peeping Tom, some of those POVs. Not in the same way, but kind of reminded me a little bit. Like, they're incredibly effective, I think.
Well, speaking of Peeping Toms, this film starts off pretty hard, letting you know that there's going to be nudity in this film. Right off the bat. Tilda Swinton and Matthias are both nude by the pool, enjoying each other. You know, like right in the beginning, kind of sets the tone.
Mm-hmm.
But also you have that really nice tone of relaxation. And that's why they're there, is so that I should just pick whether I'm calling her Tilda or Marianne. Well, Marianne is recovering from her surgery, right? So they're rubbing each other in mud and just relaxing. And she's not speaking, and I'm sure she's eating a lot of honey and stuff like that. But it looks like a dream. Because it was shot in Pantelleria, Italy.
Yeah.
It's a little island southwest of Sicily.
Yes.
Kind of off the coast of Tunisia, I believe, just off the coast of Africa.
Yes.
So
and I do think contextually that them being naked and doing that makes sense to me. Like that whole
my gosh.
Yeah.
If I am in a villa in Italy and I'm up on a mountaintop
and no one can see shit.
Yeah, I'm not wearing clothes. I am getting
Yeah.
a full tan. I am swimming. I am enjoying life. I'm eating fresh fruit. Get out of town.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's how the shift changes. I mean, as soon as Harry and Penelope show up, Paul goes, well, we can't be naked anymore.
Yes. And
Which
I did
is funny because they aren't, but Harry is.
This film reminded me a little bit of Sexy Beast, where Don Logan turns up and it's like he is just a force of nature. He will not take no for an answer. He is abrasive. He is charming, but at the same time terrifying.
But Harry's not scary at all.
No, but he is. He's blissfully unaware, or he's just ignorant to the fact that things have moved on. Like, he can't just continue going to the sweet cart or the cake whenever he sees fit, you know? Because I think he's always seen her as someone that he can just put on a shelf, and if there's nothing else, he can go back to that shelf. Like, I kind of feel like they have that kind of relationship, which is, it blossomed from a romantic one. It's now them being friends, but they are still relatively quite romantic with each other. It's like they can't seem to do without each other, even though she's trying her best to, let him know that she's moved on and that she's in a very different place in her life. But Harry doesn't see it that way. Or at least, like, in the way that he's doing it with this is that he's having fun and he is trying his best to kind of, romance her a little bit, And
he's also trying to show the difference between himself and Paul.
Yes.
Because he keeps calling Paul, well, at one point he did call Paul, what, a
square bear.
A square bear.
Yes.
And he's like, he's square, he's boring. So at every turn, he's showing how fun he is and how romantic he is and how he cares about her and he knows her better than anyone else.
Yeah, because Paul's more an introvert and Harry's a very obvious extrovert who kind of puts himself out there and likes an audience, and they have that karaoke session and they're doing this, they're doing that. And
exactly. Because at 17 minutes and 15 seconds into the film, basically right after Harry and Penelope show up to, when they get to Marianne and Paul's place.
Yeah.
Harry jumps in the pool with his clothes on. So then he ends up kind of walking around in a towel and at one point just slings it off when he's like going to his room. So he's just obviously naked and just kind of using their house as his own house and just making himself immediately comfortable.
He is making himself at home, makes a whole bunch of food. He's effectively at least trying to, or at least he's creating the illusion that he is the perfect house guest, which is kind of what you would want. He's kind of like entertaining, everything's for free, he's making food. You know, he is accommodating to the people that have allowed him to be a guest.
But he does invite people up to the house.
It feels like there's an ulterior motive from the minute he's there. But certainly you do get that idea that like Harry can be in small doses perfectly entertaining, but I feel like it gets a little nauseating.
When they finally invite him to stay, he goes, well, that took forever.
Yeah.
Come on.
Aye.
I would be furious if I had, an ex-boyfriend or whoever that I was still friends with, invited them up, and then they just started inviting people over to my house while I'm trying to relax.
It would be pretty crazy.
Like bringing them into my safe space, especially if I was a super famous singer.
Yeah, no,
These
it would
people
be
out of my house.
Yeah, certainly when she's not able to play the host because she literally can't talk.
Right.
She literally can't say anything. So she's kind of tied by that. But certainly, I mean, all the nakedness for the most part. Paul does get naked later on, but most of the nakedness comes from, I guess, Harry's fairly brazen displays.
Yes. Tilda Swinton is nude a lot, but that's not what we're here for.
No.
Man, you should watch I Am Love for that. Anyway, she's amazing. So there's that dance scene.
Yes.
I know he's not naked in this scene, but I do want to talk about it. So the whole cast actually went and saw the Rolling Stones in Rome when they were filming. So they took some time off, went and saw the Rolling Stones. Because the script was actually given to the Rolling Stones to sign off on it.
Okay.
Because Harry is off telling that whole story while he's playing the Rolling Stones records. Like, oh, I made this record, and this record came out before I was even old enough to drink. And so he has like a really long relationship with them personally and just emotionally.
Yeah.
But Ralph Fiennes' actual brother Magnus is a music producer. So he kind of used him as a guide and a reference for his character.
Okay.
But that dance scene, Ralph Fiennes hired a choreographer, her name is Anne Yi, to work with him on his dance sequence. But it wasn't choreographed necessarily, but she helped him figure out kind of how to move his body. Because he goes, I'm not a singer, I'm not a dancer, it does not come naturally to me. So he hired someone to help him kind of figure out how to move his body.
Yeah, that sequence is pretty good. And there's some very, very notable fourth wall breaking stuff. Certainly when he goes behind that curtain and then he comes back out of the curtain.
Harry said something about, is this music the last thing you listen to before you die, or some horrible thing about the lovely music they were listening to.
Yeah.
And then he just starts, in an annoying way, just puts on one record and just talks over it the whole time. He's like, oh, okay, something else, and then just puts on another Rolling Stones record and then just starts talking about that and singing and dancing. I wasn't mad because he actually played the whole song that time.
Yeah.
But
yeah. He's yeah.
I love that. I love that part so much. And then you mentioned the karaoke.
Yes, the karaoke.
When they go out, because Marianne and Harry just end up at this bar. It's not like they're trying to get away from Paul, but Paul is sober. He's not smoking. He's not drinking. He had a really rough time, and
Yeah, he went through rehab and stuff, so
he's trying not to get into that place again, right? So, because he also tried to kill himself, so
yeah.
he's trying not to get dark and deep.
Well, it's also a little, like Harry's needling Paul with some of
course.
these things, and he kind of does this
Well, he's
periodically.
doing it to Marianne as well.
Yeah,
You
a lot
can
of
talk.
needling.
Bjork could talk 2 weeks after her surgery.
Fucking
Adele
Bjork.
could talk after her
Yeah.
surgery. Come on, he kept saying to her, singing is everything. That's your entire life.
Yeah.
She's like, Jesus Christ.
It'd be a rough thing to be like, yeah, no, the entire existence of my being, the thing that's centered around it, is the one thing that I can't do. Because they even do it. They even mention Julie Andrews in the movie as well, and she famously lost her voice, and she was known for being a singing performer.
Yeah.
So, there are real life tragic stories, but none of the sort of things you want to be hearing for the advent that if you do lose your voice, you don't want to be reminded of the fact that, like, yes, that is a very strong possibility that you could lose your voice.
As if she hadn't been thinking about it day and night ever since her surgery.
Pretty much.
What if I never sing again? Oh dear.
Yeah.
But when they do go to the karaoke bar and he goes, let's sing something that I would never sing in front of people that we know. And he just takes over the entire thing. There's 4 people in the bar. And then there ends up being 70 people all around. Nobody else sings.
Yes.
He's the only one singing until Penelope and Paul show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then Harry and his daughter Penelope sing, oh no, what was the song that they sung? Do you remember?
It was incredibly uncomfortable because they were like all over each other.
Endless Love or something. I can't remember.
Yes, probably.
I don't think that's what it was. But they're just holding each other. She's like got her back to him and he's kind of just holding her from behind. And one guy yells, "Can I have her when you're done, Daddy?"
It's weird.
Well, yeah, because that becomes a bit of tension between everyone, is just how he's acting with her. But he did say, I only knew about her, a year ago? So it's like he just met her.
And he's still, he admits at some point that, have I ever thought about fucking her? I would be lying if I didn't.
He's just a very honest person. And
yes.
I guess he also feels very comfortable with Marianne because they've known each other for so long. But he doesn't let falsities come out. He just says anything that comes out into his head just comes out of his mouth at all times.
Yes.
So, yeah. Well, they don't know if they're actually related. Also, Penelope says at one point, I want him to take a test. We're nothing alike.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, she won't be able to do.
No. Dum, dum, dum.
Uh-oh. There's a couple more penis scenes, actually. At 58 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yes.
So this is the point where...
Well, this is a scene that also repeats again, right? Because it's when the car gets stuck.
Yes.
And then he's driven back. And then he just
he drops trow.
He just drops trow and dives into the pool, the full of day. And this moment is repeated again when him and Paul have the argument. So I guess like everything's kind of come to a head. Like things have started to happen.
Everything happens around La Piscine.
Both opposing couples have had some level of like sexual altercation.
Or just sexual tension. I do not think that Paul, it never is explained, and
I think it's knowingly ambiguous, though.
Yes. The same way in La Piscine. Ambiguous. You don't know.
Yeah, because
I think that Paul wouldn't have done it at that point because he was sober still, and, Penelope just before getting naked in front of him was like, want to see me do a handstand? Like, it's not giving a lot of sexy energy. A lot of the things that she does.
No.
She is a kid and acts like a kid, even though they don't know how young she is yet.
Yeah, she does act like a child.
But of course, doubt is there. We don't know.
I think the fact that the doubt is there makes it more interesting.
Because nobody ever says, no one ever admits or denies. And yeah, then you do have Marianne and Harry having a moment as well.
They have a little bit
Just
of a...
didn't seem sexy.
Well, I don't think it was meant to
It just
be.
looks sad.
Yeah, it did look sad. And it was sad because it didn't conclude.
That's always the sad
It was just
part.
kind of sad. Yeah. And everyone's crying.
Paul knows his way around Marianne. She seems like a happy lady. So
yeah. But
Paul.
they have their altercations. Harry's gone out drinking. He's come back. He's brought the truck back. Paul's outside. And yeah, they start with a conversation that...
Gosh, yeah. Where do you even start?
Well, here's the thing. Harry jumps into the pool again.
Yeah, he's
completely naked.
Takes all of his clothes off because he wants to have a nighttime skinny dip. And
he gets out the pool and he's still naked. So when they're having their conversation that leads to an argument
one
that
of
then
them
leads
says
to a
at one
confrontation.
point, I think Harry says at one point, he goes, "Are we fighting?" Well, he's toweling himself off. He goes, okay. And then he just drops the towel. He's like, if we're fighting, I'm going to do it with my dick out. That's not what he says, but...
Yeah. It's like... Yeah, it's like trying to explain the power dynamic in this scene because... Yeah, you're like... I've been having an argument with someone that you don't usually see naked. They're naked. And you're having a literal argument with them.
He's soaking wet, too.
And
he's very slippery. He's slippery,
very slippery, yes.
Physically and argumentatively slippery man.
Yes. But yeah, it's as much like it is set at nighttime, so but there's not really anything being hidden here. But I think it's the fact that like they're having this full-on argument. There's a power reversal, and you're kind of just like, well, Harry, you do understand that you're having an argument. That's 100% what's happening here because you're part of the instigating issue here that started this argument.
Also, this is at 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 30 seconds that this kind of starts off and doesn't end for a very long time. So this is a very, very long argument, and I wish I could pull out every single quote that I loved in this thing. It's just these two men who have been friends for a very long time. He goes, we were more than friends. We were like brothers.
Yeah.
And saying, I gave you Marianne. And it's just this awkward and sad kind of breakdown of a life, not a lifelong friendship, but a very close friendship.
Yeah. It's very, it's very upsetting, I suppose.
Think what you want, but don't tolerate me.
Yeah.
Is what he said. And I was like, oof.
Yeah, it's pretty harsh.
Yeah. So I think it starts with a slap and then a push in the pool.
And then a fight in the
pool.
And then someone has a little accident.
Didn't seem like an accident to me.
It didn't. No, Harry gets murdered.
He gets full murdered.
He gets full on murdered.
That shot of him, that was a long shot as well. From them going into the pool. And I was like, is this one whole shot? Like, are they not cutting? But they had some movie magic in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But just seeing his face under the water, oh my God. It was intense.
He sunk like a stone as well.
He sure did.
Yeah, he just went bonk right down at the bottom.
I don't think he tried hard enough. I think that he really was trying at first.
Yeah.
But he only blew into his mouth 3 times. And then I feel like he thought about it. He thought about it and he goes, do I really want to bring this guy back?
I mean,
this is just conjecture. I'm just talking through my feelings.
Oh God.
But I thought, this motherfucker wants to get rid of Harry and he's going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. But
ambiguous.
Yeah, but as it transpires anyway, like it really doesn't matter.
Yes, because that's how the film goes. I understand
Yeah.
that. I'm just saying, I'm having a little bit of fun. So I really thought that sequence was interesting.
Because I don't want to spoil the ending or anything like that. Like I think as far as we go with like this dig scene, like
Sorry.
they have an entire argument with him completely naked and not losing a beat, and then obviously there's a little bit of a murder. There is a further dick scene there. It's incredibly brief, but it's like after the death and Paul goes to bed.
It's about 10 minutes later. It says an hour 31 and 28 seconds.
She's woken up by I guess, is it the maid or
She's
whoever
just
else?
the housekeeper.
Housekeeper, who's like, yeah, Harry's in the fucking pool.
Yeah, him being naked was him getting into bed. So she got woken up after that, but yeah.
It's also going into bed, but it's also when she gets woken up, he walks past in the bathroom. And he's also
he does it
completely naked
twice.
there. Yes. So there is the...
Hot diggity dog.
Yes, the Paul nakedness does happen.
What is smorgasbord of male nudity?
A charcuterie of swang.
I'm going to say sausage?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I was going to get like chopped sausage.
Oh no, we're so professional. It's okay. Yeah, that was surprising. I think we went, whoa. Also, when they cut to Dakota Johnson down by the lake, we went, whoa.
Yeah, we both went, oh.
Almost weren't expecting that.
Oh, Jesus.
There she is.
Yeah, well, it's not the first time we've seen Dakota Johnson, like, naked. You see her naked in those.
Oh gosh, I think they had finished filming the first 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
And then the 50 Shades hadn't even come out yet when they started filming this.
Yeah.
So.
Well, she doesn't get naked in Madam Web, does she?
I wish.
Yeah. She is beautiful. Yeah, she is.
Her and Tilda
beautiful.
Swinton. Oh man, both of them. So Dakota Johnson's hair now is what I want. And then like Madam Web, that's the kind of hair I want. But then also Tilda Swinton's hair in this movie is what I want, and they're very different. Can't have both.
No, you can't have both because one is incredibly shorter than the other.
Like quite a bit.
Yes.
Quite a bit. So Margot Robbie was originally cast as Penelope.
Huh.
Dakota Johnson came in very late after everyone else had been cast because Margot Robbie had had a shooting conflict with The Legend of Tarzan. You remember that movie?
Fuck yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah,
I don't.
She played Jane.
She sure
in
did.
that movie, yeah.
Maybe I should watch it because
Yeah.
isn't
It's not
middle
good.
Skarsgård or is it oldest Skarsgård's son Alexander? Is Tarzan?
Potentially. Yeah, isn't that like? Well, no, it's not like. It's like Tarzan after the main Tarzan, or is that like?
I don't know the story of that Tarzan. I've never seen that motion picture.
It's not Greystroke, that's for sure. It's not that shit.
No.
Or the anime Tarzan. Yeah. No, I think that film's meant to be
with
real
that Phil Collins
bad.
song?
I mean, it's not the Phil Collins song, it's the Phil Collins soundtrack.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the whole fucking album is fire. I love that movie.
I didn't catch that. Could you do that again? Like a little louder this time. Wow, get this guy a karaoke mic. He's going off. Luca received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Gothenburg Film Festival in 2022, so very, very recently. And instead of doing a retrospective, which he said, I don't have enough to do retrospective, don't do that, he decided to recut A Bigger Splash into a 195-minute cut, which he called an even bigger splash. I'm not lying.
Okay.
This is true.
Right.
He screened a cut of it at the Gothenburg Film Festival without any effects or mixing. And at the time, he was working on finalizing it with new songs and effects and planned to screen it at some small festivals before releasing it to streamers. It was expected to come out last year in 2023, and it did not. I haven't seen any updates about it
Okay.
recently, but the 10th anniversary would be either in 2025 or 2026, depending on. I think it actually got released in American theaters in 2016.
Yeah, it's 2016.
So maybe he's waiting for that. Maybe because he's really into it. He's got new music, new songs, everything. He's like obsessed with it. So
okay,
if I were him and I'm like, oh, I'm really close to the 10-year anniversary of the OG, maybe I'll just wait. But I don't know.
Right.
Maybe Kino Lorber will pick it up and
yeah,
with all new extras.
I just don't know if we need a 3-hour version of that movie. I mean, I'd be interested in seeing it.
I would watch it for sure because maybe you'll just have more lovely, relaxing pool scenes. And like fresh fruit and delicious salads.
Maybe some of the breakneck pacing is taken out a little bit. Because the film itself is also a little too long. It's not boring, but it's also, I'd say, it's a little too long.
Fresh ricotta cheese. Also.
Yes, there is that. Yes, you want to see. Yeah, you want some Italian neorealism right there. You want to see her making the ricotta cheese from scratch.
Yes, and I want to see them feed each other. I want to see them eat full meals. Yeah, I want to watch that for 3 hours, and then I want to go on vacation. Oh, there was a cameo from Luca. He's
the documentary crew guy, yeah.
He's in the documentary crew. Oh, thanks for stealing it from me. Yeah. I told you while we were watching it.
You did, but you didn't have to. That was your mistake.
Well, you didn't know he was there. You didn't see him.
No, I didn't see him, no, because this was the first time I'd seen this movie, so.
I love this movie.
Ratings.
Visibility and context, my friend. 5 out of 5. I hadn't seen it since it came out, and it's been quite some time. And I didn't remember all of it because it's been hard to find, so I haven't seen it. And me, oh my, that fight scene is incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's interesting as well. I was watching some interviews with Ralph Fiennes, and they kind of asked him, and they asked Dakota Johnson, how do you feel about nudity? And Rafe was really, it's like he doesn't care. He has no qualms about it. This isn't the first time he's been naked on screen.
Of course not.
He doesn't. He's a cool guy. He doesn't care. I mean, he has sex with airline stewardesses on airplanes. Like, he's in the Mile High Club. Rafe is a rake.
Yeah, I know.
I told you about how my ex-boyfriend broke. One of his arguments for breaking up with me, or we got it in an argument, was because I was really into Ralph Fiennes at one point.
Oh boy.
I'm always into Ralph Fiennes, but he was wondering why I was so into him, and he goes, "Why? Do you want to go fly to Australia and try and fuck Ralph Fiennes on an airplane?" And I'm like, is he just always on the airplane? Like, is he always flying to Australia?
He's always flying, yeah.
Can I do that? I would.
It's so surreal anyway. It's such a surreal thing to get annoyed about.
Yeah.
But it's just Ralph Fiennes in this alternate world just flying Air Australia like every day.
I'm just trying to get laid by Ralph Fiennes by buying many, many tickets back and forth from Australia, just hoping to run into him in the toilet.
From where though? Where he's not going from? He's not going from coast to coast. Is he?
I swear, my ex thought that I knew his flight path. Like, I had, I knew his passport number and I could track him or something. All I did was go like, "Oh, that's interesting."
It's also a story predicated on the fact that Rafe also knows who the fuck you are. So.
He doesn't have to know who I am.
No, I guess he doesn't need to know you on a first name basis, I guess.
He would.
Well, yeah. That doesn't necessarily mean that he has to, but yeah.
Laura, airplane toilet girl, number 37. I'm sure he does it all the time.
God. Poor Rafe.
Maybe that's his thing. Poor Rafe? Doubtful.
That's just the way he gets it, though. Like, he can't do it any other way.
You don't want to kink shame him.
Has to be in an airport
That might be
bathroom.
His airplane bathroom.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Yeah, airplane bathroom.
Maybe that's his kink. But I digress. He lays it all on the line. Oh, what was I saying about... Okay, sorry. He said that in terms of being nude on film, that you have to have at least in your contract, have final say on the shots. So he doesn't care. He just wants to make sure that he likes the shots that are chosen for the film. And he
Okay.
has final say because he doesn't want to look a certain way. So
Yeah,
that's what he said. Dakota
that makes
Johnson had a
sense.
little bit more. She goes, well, it's my character, right? And if that makes sense for my character, then I'm an actor. That's my job, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
Rafe's like, psh, I have it in my contract. I want to make sure I look great.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That does make sense.
I just thought that was a funny contrast, but it's, I don't know. You guys will see it. It's really great. 5 stars.
So, yeah, I would say that I would also give it 5 stars for the visibility and the context. And I do like the fact that this is a naked fighting argument. And certainly the way that we're seeing it and the way that it's being displayed, it does make you think about. It does make me think about like Women in Love. It makes me think about the Get Rich or Die Trying scene where they fight naked in the shower with the shivs and shit.
Eastern Promises.
Eastern Promises, but they're at least those last two that I said, they're very cinematic. You know, like that sort of thing doesn't really happen very often in real life.
Naked Brawls.
Yeah, naked brawls. Naked brawls. Certainly to the extent that those fucking happen. Like, they're insane.
Well, this one just starts off with like, it's not even a hard fight. It's
not,
just
yeah,
a
but
couple
I'm not
of guys.
yeah, but I'm not referring to it as like a fight. In Women in Love, though, like that's like a power struggle where it's, you know, they're wrestling and they're trying to assert their own sense of dominance, which is certainly what I think Ray Fiennes' character Harry is doing in this scene, which, you know, you've got a fully dressed Paul and then you have a completely naked Harry. Yeah. And certainly I do think it creates this parallel, like this certain kind of paradigm of just like, you know, the power in this and the shots that are chosen and the way that he is looking. I think it's interesting. But yes, for visibility and context, I gave it 5.
Yeah, you're right. It's an interesting. He makes a choice as well when he grabs his towel and goes, "Oh, we're fighting," and then he puts his towel down and goes, "Okay."
Because like if they were in a fight, like most instincts would be, you would try and cover yourself up because there's an element of weakness there. That's kind of how I saw it. But for him, he's just all out, and he knows this is progressing. So to me, it's quite an evident power struggle, but it's certainly, it's different. Like it's juxtaposed in a certain way. So
it's also quite characteristic of him, just as a character. He's naked the whole time. Yeah, and he's always showing off. So
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you're right. 5 stars. For me, I gave the film a 4.5. I really, really love this film. I've seen it before. I'll watch it again. I'm glad that we have it, even if the special features on that Blu-ray are crap.
They are dire.
But I want to give it a 5. I might one day give it a 5 because it is one of those that I might just have on. It might be my next Call Me by Your Name, and I'll log it 10 times. Maybe not.
Yeah,
if
that
they'd kissed,
seems a bit...
maybe I would have. If those 2 men had kissed.
God. Well, they kind of did. He gave him mouth to mouth in the pool.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a kiss.
Could have been better. 4.5. I don't know. It's got all the things I like. It's got fresh fruit and vegetables. It's got cooking scenes. It's got the pool, sunshine, hot bodies. Everyone's pretty. They do karaoke. I mean, Jesus Christ. Dream.
Wow.
This movie's a dream without the murder. Love it.
Okay, well, on that note, I gave it a 4. But it probably deserves something closer to a 3.5, personally.
Shut your mouth.
I think it does. I don't like it as much as you did. I like certain aspects of it. But yeah, from what I've kind of already pointed together, like some of the editing and stuff like that, I don't really particularly enjoy. I do think it's a little bit long, but yeah, it's still enjoyable. I just don't think it ends the way I also want it to end either. So
just wait till you finish La Piscine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I will eventually. But yeah, I gave it 4. I'm gonna stick with 4, even though I probably think it's 3.5 because I did enjoy it. It's not boring in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting on it.
It's like you said before, when you rate it low, that means there's always room for it to go up. And I hope this for you.
Yeah, as you know, I'm a glass half full sort of guy.
You're a total, oh yeah.
You
were a total optimist.
I am an optimist by heart. No, I sometimes wish I was dead.
Hopefully not going the way of Harry Hawks in this film.
No.
Brutal.
Certainly won't find myself fighting with another man in a pool who drowns me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad we got to do this on our first Luca. Hopefully not our last Luca. I'm looking at you, challengers. And coming to you from Pantelleria.
Okay.
I couldn't really think of any other thing to put, so there wasn't a lot of...
I would have just said, coming to you from La Piscine.
Shit. Coming to you from La Piscine.
Piscine.
Piscine? La Piscine?
La Piscine.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I have been Laura.
I'm still Ryan.
Ciao, Bella.
Cheerio.